And welcome to the In Conversation. It's not the cage. I'm not on the cage for the first time in a very long time, but I am here on Zoom. And for those that don't know, I'm joined here by, well, let's do the intro properly. Behind every MANvFAT player, or in this instant, coach, or potentially both, there has to be that one person that looks out for them, supports them, guides them. And on this occasion, it's yourself. I've been told I've got to call you Rachel, not Miss Stan. But it's our very own Newport coach's wife. You are married, didn't you?
Yeah. Long suffering.
Mr. James Stanford's wife. Rachel, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm absolutely buzzing for this. It's going to be very good and exciting. I have got everything written down on my phone.
He deserves it, quite frankly. So, a little secret between you and I. Well up for that.
Well, no one knows that this is taking place.
No, exactly.
The first point that they're going to know, I don't even know if he'll actually edit this and put it live. This might go straight in the bin.
Well, listen, let me assure you, I won't see him today because he's coaching Cardiff this evening, so he probably won't get back until I'm in bed. But let me assure you, if he even considers deleting this, I'll change the locks.
Right, so I'll dive straight into it because I know you're quite busy. This was meant to take place like an hour ago, and I've been extremely late. So first of all, apologies for being late. Apologies.
That's no problem.
The very first question that I want to ask, and I'm sure a few people might not know this, but they'll find it anyway. How many items of clothing do you currently have that belong to MANvFAT, including bibs, in that house that you live in?
It feels like thousands. He will put the MANvFAT badge on anything, first of all. So we'll be counting things like laptop bags, so we're counting bottles, to be fair, if there's anything that we can buy that he can put a MANvFAT logo on, he buys it. Our children have got the hoodies. I'm surprised our children aren't logoed permanently. He will stick it on anything. So yeah, the answer to the question is, it's only an estimate, but I would say probably thousands.
Would it be easier if I asked the question differently? How many things don't belong to MANvFAT in your house?
Not many. I made him a Moonpig card for Father's Day, and all of the photos that we had with him with our kids, he was wearing red and he had a MANvFAT logo on. So yeah, it's not many items of clothing now without MANvFAT on. The occasional Tottenham, but apart from that, not much.
I'm surprised he hasn't got the sponsor on there yet.
He would try, I think.
He might even have to send a letter to them to ask them.
He probably don't suggest it. He probably would.
So, right, I've got a couple of questions to ask. I say a couple, there's actually more than a couple, but I'll not base this based on Stan too much. But the first thing I want to ask you is your knowledge on how Stan became involved with MANvFAT, and then how he became a player to a coach.
Okay. So he was invited to go to Cardiff by a friend of his who he went to uni with, who was starting as well. So I can remember the first day that they were all meant to be going, horrendous traffic on the M4. And he said, oh no, I'm just not going to make it. There's no point in trying. So he didn't go that night. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't know what that means really in terms of his potential commitment to that. He went then the following week on the Thursday, as they were at the time, went then the following Thursday. His friend kind of lasted a couple of weeks, and then due to, family stuff and commitments, didn't last any longer. And he just absolutely threw himself into it. I think that at the time, lots of you have probably seen some of the before photos. As with many of us, I think the weight creeps on. And I think he got to that point where he wanted to start. So yes, began at Cardiff. I know that he's, super grateful for the guidance of Naz, and wasn't there particularly long, I don't think, before he became one of the PFs there. And then I think his success in his weight loss, when Stan's very good at once he's got a plan, he's all in. So, and as his wife, that's great for me then, because I'm kind of, without choosing to be, I'm also in, because, our food and our lifestyle changed. So from that moment, really, he was 100% committed to the program, and that's kind of how he rolls. He's either fully in or he's fully out. So yeah, so obviously his weight loss was hugely successful. I think he'd raised about the fact that, particularly over that Leckwith side of Cardiff as well, it was quite difficult for people our end of South Wales to get to. And I think his success, his contributions to Cardiff and that type of thing meant then that he was a prime candidate to potentially launch the Newport League. And that's exactly what happened. And I mean, I know how absolutely thrilled he is that he was able to do that, because I think it was a bit of a pie in the sky dream, really, at the beginning. And obviously, it's been hugely successful. So he's done really, really well.
I second everything you said there. And we're extremely grateful and lucky to have him in Newport. And I hope that MANvFAT don't take him away from us anytime soon.
No, I don't think so. I think that he absolutely loves it, and we joked at the beginning about the items of clothing. He wouldn't be doing that if he didn't really absolutely kind of live and breathe it, really. So it's definitely been a massive change, but equally it's 95% of it is hugely positive. So it's a lot of work. And as all of you guys know, it's a massive commitment, and that sometimes means that on your weekends and your Friday nights, your social life gets affected, but that is really part of the commitment, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. You either commit to change or you don't commit at all. And as you said, that's what Stan is. He's either fully in or fully out. And you can clearly see on a weekly basis and a daily basis, he's fully in to MANvFAT, fully in.
Yeah.
You briefly touched upon a couple of the changes and stuff that have occurred. What sort of changes have occurred for both of you during this, the period of him, the transitional sort of period, we become a player, then, sort of now a coach?
He was, the weight creeps on, doesn't it? And I think we look back at some of those photos, and I don't think I realized at the time quite probably how big he was. And he's tall, he carries it well and whatever. So I think for us, when he started, firstly, I think when you have got a bit of weight to lose, it comes off quite quickly, great motivator. And that was definitely something for him. I mean, you guys working in your kilos, I mean, that means nothing to me. I need to, convert on Google. But, quickly it was coming off. His confidence was growing, really quickly then as well, because it was, quite big changes quite early on. I think that he is way more confident, way happier with himself. I think one of the major motivators for him was some photos around the time that our Clara was about 18 months. And, she was becoming active, and he was finding it, he wasn't finding it hard to keep up. But I think he realized that in terms of being a role model and parenting her and us making sure that hopefully, there are no kind of weight issues passed on wherever we can, or, like a healthier attitude towards food and treating yourself and that type of thing. So I think, in terms of the changes, obviously there's the physical ones where he feels much better about himself. If I have to listen to him, tell me one more time, his clothes size changes and that type of thing, he's really proud of himself, and I am too, and so are all of our family. So, I think we're planning our holiday now for the summer, and, a couple of years ago, you would have never been as enthusiastic about being by the pool and that type of thing. So definite physical changes, but I think even more importantly than that is the kind of mental, psychological changes as well. His attitude towards food is better. And his sense of well-being, I think he is much happier, really, since he began the programme.
Yes, I know he's thoroughly looking forward to the holiday. I know he's fully looking forward to the holiday, and fully deserved as well. Fully deserved.
Yeah.
How easy do you find it to support him?
I think I may be speaking out of turn. I think on behalf of all the wives, girlfriends, partners, boyfriends, I think that it is very easy to support him in terms of totally understanding what his goal is, totally agreeing with why he's doing it, And, you know, to be honest, I love a Friday night on my own. That's brilliant. I have my, you know, I watch Bridgerton and I have a ready meal, and that's great. I think, you know, like I mentioned earlier, there are some, not challenges, but I suppose it's a bit of a, I don't know whether a balance, I suppose, in terms of supporting him and his reasons for doing it, and his weight loss and his coaching. You know, I'm so pleased with how happy he is about it. It's a no-brainer. I think, you know, it does have some issues then with, you know, being invited out on Fridays and, you know, social life and things like that. But the overall goal is much bigger than that. So I think in terms of finding it easy, my house is full of MVF stuff. I would much prefer him to have a shed that he could put it in. You know, the bottles that he's put the logos on, they're not allowed through the dishwasher. So that's a challenge. You know, they can't, so that's me washing them up then. So, you know, I jest, but it's very easy to support him. I sometimes have a moan at him when I'm trying to talk to him about our daily lives, and he's WhatsApping you and Billy, you know.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
Well, I'm not blaming you, I'm blaming him. You know, Clara reckons now that she'll speak to him twice or three times. He won't respond, and he's either messaging Champo Billy or he's on TikTok. That's what he's doing, she reckons. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's very easy. I think, you know, our whole, you know, it definitely has a wider impact on our lives. And I would imagine that's because he's coach rather than just because he's a member. Because for him, it is something that he is constantly thinking about. But it's not a challenge. It's easy, really.
Yeah, the thing is, he prides himself on it having to get it right. It's got to be perfect. Because that's the way that Stan looks at things. If this is going ahead, he will go on about it for weeks and weeks and weeks to make sure that everything is spot on and is perfect. I think that's why everything runs so great in our program here in Newport.
I totally agree. And I mean, even things like, you know, beginning the family fun days. I know there's a load of you involved in lots of these additional things that happen. So I know this isn't just Stan, but, you know, lots of those additional things you don't have to do. You don't have to do your media stuff, but you and Billy want to do it. And, you know, all of these extras are exactly what makes MVF Newport, you know, that massive winner at the awards, you know, a couple of months back. That's exactly what it's about, that culture of change, not just turning up on a Friday night, playing, weigh in and off you go, you know, that kind of constant support, the bringing the family in, the wider networks with some of the other leagues and that type of thing. So, you know, I totally get it. It's what makes Newport particularly unique, you know, espresso yourself, all of those things are so important. And like you say, he has a vision really for what this is going to be like. And he had that vision before probably he even was told that there was going to be a league at Newport and he was going to be coach. And I think that's what he's like in his day job as well, really. You know, if he's got an idea, he doesn't do it half-heartedly. He, you know, perseveres and he does it to the best of his ability.
100%. And that is why we run so successfully at Newport. Exactly why. What would you then, just moving away from Stan slightly, what would your personal advice be to anybody that's currently on the program? And I'm looking for the advice in terms of like the health or dietary side of things. Like, what would the best piece of advice that you would give somebody that's currently on the program?
I suppose that I think just like embrace it, commit. I think there's sometimes, you know, I've done all the classic swimming worlds and all that stuff, and I think you get part of the way along your journey, you feel like you're plateauing, you lose motivation. And I think, you know, the great thing about MANvFAT is that not only are you being rewarded for your own weight loss and your goals and that type of thing, but your team effort and your playing and that type of thing. So I think just keep the competitive spirit going, you know, fully commit to your team, fully commit to your own weight loss, and really everyone's a winner then. What I do love about it is that, you know, particularly with all your boys at Newport as well, you know, regardless of what team you're on, everyone is very much on each other's, you know, metaphorical team, you know, like really kind of trying to support everyone and keeping everyone going. So I think, you know, the program is kind of genius, in my opinion, because I think if there's any way of making some of those other weight loss, you know, what's the word I'm looking for, like things, more competitive, I think I would have been more successful, you know? So I think that competition, but also the keeping united as an entire league, and just, you know, keep going, really. The calorie counting, I think, is easy. It means that you don't stop treating yourself. So have your treats, have them in moderation. And, you know, I need to learn from lots of what I'm saying here. But, you know, keep going and keep being competitive.
That's great advice. Absolutely great advice. I couldn't put it any better myself, other than the fact that I'm constantly being attacked by this bloody cat of mine. One further question then, just to finish off with. What would you say to anyone that's considering joining MANvFAT?
Oh, do it. Absolutely 100% do it. I think that it is like I said, I think it's wonderful. I think that the entire ethos of it is absolutely spot on. And I think that looking at some of the weight loss that some of your boys have undergone, I mean, you've done amazingly well, Champo. Looking at, you know, I mean, you know, crazy weight loss, really. And I'm sure that lots of you have probably tried things in the past, and it, you know, it maybe achieved something in the short term, but not in the long term. And I think that's the thing about MVF. There's that long-term commitment. You know, you play together. You've got your wider stuff then, your you know, your competitions and your family fun days and your you know, your big tournaments and things. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer.
St. George's Park will be a great day for us all, I can imagine. You coming down?
Yeah. Well, I hope that everyone came back from Dorchester with the t-shirt tan that Stan came home with. Really, really quite incredible. So not only are all of his clothes red, but now so's his face.
I know he thoroughly enjoyed that day. And I know we'll enjoy St. George's Park. Rachel, wife of Coach of the Year, I forgot to add, National Award winning Coach of the Year, part of League of the Year. Mr. James Manfred, thank you very much indeed for taking some time out to speak to me. Thoroughly enjoyed this.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy your holiday. Very much deserved. Make sure he doesn't come back redder than he already is, because he might hurt.
Yeah, no promises. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Thank you.
See you.